Philadelphia, are you ready?
They said, are you ready?
This is Brotherly Love Wrestling Podcast, your first stop for everything professional wrestling. So sit back and enjoy wrestling talk at its finest with your hosts, Larry Hall and Joe Corrado.
Good, yeah. I just got home like 30 minutes ago or so.
How long's that trip?
Like 10.
10?
Yeah.
Did you stay over last night and then leave this morning?
Yeah, we left this morning.
At least you didn't try and pull it overnighter.
No, yeah, we weren't. I went with a bunch of friends. They were on a show on Saturday, and yeah, we were all kind of exhausted. And I had some friends stay for the Paradigm show after Bloodsport too. So, yeah, they got back to the room at like 3:00. So, yeah, we left this morning.
You didn't stay for the Paradigm show?
No, I was tired. I was beat up, man.
And you were the driver?
No, luckily, Still Life with Apricots and Pears and Molly McCoy drove today. So,
Okay.
big thank you to them.
Now you still keep in touch with a lot of the Shakara fam?
Yeah, we're all pretty tight knit, and a lot of us are at Worldwide Dojo up in Bristol, PA now. So, like training with Cheeseburger and Sumi Sakai.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not bad ringleaders.
Right. Yeah, I'm real happy there. So, yeah, and like we've got friends kind of like running shows and stuff and kind of booking us together, so we still get to see each other a good amount, I'd say.
That was, I can imagine it was probably one of your guys' biggest worry, but that was my biggest worry too, was like not being able to see you guys, because I mean we live right around the corner from the Wrestle Factory, and it was like when everything happened, I was like, oh shit, I hope that everyone that worked there at least can still find a way to perform.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean that was one of the major concerns. Like every company that was gonna regularly book me at the time was like kind of closed, or whatever you want to call it, got canceled or whatever. So it was pretty worried, as far as my wrestling career. It felt like I was going to be taking a bunch of steps back, but I think a lot of us are probably doing better than maybe we thought we were going to be doing at this point anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot of our home field names have been popping up in like random places. Like yourself, you showed up at Beyond Wrestling at the was it Shangri-La?
Yeah,
and you were actually the main event.
Yeah, I think that all just happened by I was supposed to be on the card against Daniel Garcia, and then that changed. And then once they put Dickinson in there, I guess they kind of bumped it to the main event. So got lucky in that way, I think.
That's not a bad substitute.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I mean, it gets more eyes on you. That's like the ultimate rub. One of the best guys on the indies right now, to work with him for one of the biggest indie promotions, even though, I mean, it's pandemic era wrestling. So the maximum amount of eyes probably, I mean, I don't know if they're not on it, but I mean, there's no live crowd. So you don't have that live feeling. So you don't feel like there's as many people watching. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of have like faith in the internet, and people need stuff to do. Maybe they still want to watch wrestling. So obviously with IWTV and stuff, if you want to see it and you want to watch it, you can. That's what's so great about kind of the streaming era we're in, where it's got pros and cons because it's like wrestling is so accessible now, and you don't want people to get there can be an oversaturation, but if there's certain things you like, then you're always going to have access to it,
Yeah, I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons. I don't think there's that many cons, but yeah, the biggest pro is that you can kind of pick and choose now. Like when we were watching back in the day, you kind of only had a couple options unless you were like going out and finding like VHSs and shit. But now it's just everything's one click away. Everything's legitimately just type in a word and you found it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And you can watch whatever you want. If you happen to like everything, then I don't know how you have enough time to watch it all, but
right. That's one of the cons.
Yeah, is that you like this weekend, I made it a point that I wanted to sit down and at least watch one full day of wrestling. And I wasn't even able to do that.
Yeah.
Like
that's hard. I mean, like noon to 2 in the morning.
Mm-hmm. It just doesn't ever work out that way where I'm just like, all right, I can dedicate this day, I think. And then 2 hours in, I'm like, oh, I get pulled away already. And I don't come back until 10 o'clock at night. And it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So it's funny. But this weekend as a whole, I think was much needed for, those people that don't really watch mainstream wrestling, don't watch televised wrestling. They rely on independent wrestling. This was a huge weekend for them. This was like a breath of fresh air and like kind of like a sigh of relief and like, oh, all right, it's back. Like this weekend that wasn't supposed to happen, that had so much hype around it, actually happened.
Yeah, I really commend everyone at GCW, and there's so many people that put so much hard work into the weekend, and I was a little nervous, tentative with the whole situation with COVID or whatever, but like I never felt like I was compromising my health any more than I would be doing anything else in that, I go to work, and that's there's inherent risks just being around anybody, but it didn't feel like it was overly risky running the show. Like you guys saw on the streams, like the bleachers were there, everybody was spread out, everyone's wearing their masks, there was hand sanitizer everywhere. I really thought that they did an incredible job, and then just so much hard work going into running 12 events over 3 days. So I'm very grateful for them having done all that.
Yeah, and hosing down and wiping down the ring after every single match.
The crew, the kids that were doing crew were busting their butt, and again, so many people did so many things to make the weekend happen. It's obviously it's difficult to give credit to every single person, but hopefully they know that they're appreciated, and they were a huge help.
It's almost like devil's advocate when you think about it. Like there's people out there that don't want you to do anything and don't go near anyone if you don't have to, and then there's also the people that are like, well, I want to see something. I need to see something. Like I need to get. It's just like you got to do it as safely as possible. And I feel like whenever I watch a GCW or any one of those promotions I ran this weekend, they seem to at least be taking proper precautions and not really putting anybody at risk. Because you're right. You go to work, you go to a regular – this is work for you. You're getting paid to do it. It's a freaking job. Yeah. There's athletes that are making big-time dollars that are going out there and doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And now they're starting to let fans in. So, it's really – you really boil down to – I really don't want to say political or politics, but it's like, what do you feel comfortable doing? Is this something that's ever going to go away, or is this something that you're always going to have to just be like, you're going to just live with it?
Yeah, I think there's still a lot we don't know as far as like what the future is in regards to running live events and things like that. I think everybody at this point can make their own decision as to whether they want to participate in something like this. I'm not when I'm not at work or at home, I'm not I'm not really doing anything. You know, I'm staying at home for the most part. I take care of my 2 kids, and it's, you know, I'm lucky I have access to a gym that I can basically be there by myself. And yeah, so I mean, I'm not taking. I kind of respect this whole thing and everything that's going on. But yeah, I think people should be able to kind of choose to what, you know, what they want to do.
Well, and I did have a question I was thinking about, like, because of multiple shows would basically be right behind each other for this weekend. How did it work? Like, how did they get, like, one group of wrestlers out in, like, did, like, you cross paths with other shows?
The area in the back was ginormous.
Okay.
It was like this huge barn thing, like connected to the fairgrounds. I think the whole area is for like livestock, and you know, that arena where we were wrestling was, I was like, what is this? This is not like a hockey arena or like and someone was saying like they do like goats or whatever, like, you know, like, I don't know if they do auctions for animals or something along those lines. So yeah, the back area was like a football field.
Okay.
So we were all real spread out and all that.
For our listeners out there and viewers out there, this is city people trying to talk Midwest. We're not familiar with livestock facilities and whatnot.
Yeah, I was born out there, but yeah, I've been in Philly for like the last half of my life. So
yeah, you've been cityized.
Yeah.
You're no longer country folk. When you can't describe a goat field properly, that's when you've been in the city too long.
Right.
Now, I don't want to look. I want to get to this. This, like, your most recent venture was Bloodsport. You're a 2-time now combatant in Bloodsport, correct?
Yep.
So, I mean, what is it about this event that is either very familiar to you, that's different than anything else that you do? I mean, is this your comfort zone? Is this your wheelhouse?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel most comfortable in that setting. You know, knockout or submission only. You know, I don't have to worry about my shoulders being on the mat. And it's just it's the closest thing to mixed martial arts, which is what, you know, I've did a long time ago and continue to train in today. So, you know, I feel like I'm probably one of the most I probably feel the most comfortable than any of the other wrestlers. Yeah, then, you know, maybe just like, of course, Josh and maybe Tom Lawler, the guys, you know, because I've been in a scenario where someone's trying to a trained professional athlete's trying to rip my head off, and you know, I'm trying to do the same thing back. So it's basically that's what we're doing.
Well, I think the one thing I know, me and Joe talking about it before we came on, was I've never seen a wrestler so innovative in the style that you wrestle, because like the things that you pull out, for instance, the moonsault into a front face lock had my jaw on the floor. I was like, how do
you think of that?
Yeah, like, and you pull it off.
That's a shoot thing. I mean, like my coach, when I first walked into the gym in Philadelphia, his name's Steve Haig. He had a highlight video, and in the highlight video, he's doing moonsault guard passes at like a naga. So that's like a thing people do to pass the guard. And Simon was giving me some issues, like I was having trouble getting past his legs, and I was like, "F it, let's go," you know. So as I was in the air, he turned, and then I ended up in that like front face lock. But
that's not the only thing that you bring from the MMA world. It seems like a lot. I mean, almost all of your offense and defense is all MMA related, but tweaked into the professional wrestling realm. Like, I've seen you do, what is the one thing you do where you're in like you have them in a submission and then you drop? I don't know. I forget.
So like I guess what you're getting at is like I absolutely have tried to adapt, my expertise, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, submission wrestling, in with professional wrestling, where now I'm able to essentially slam people down, which is a thing we do in wrestling or judo, or I'm familiar with throws and things, but there's definitely some new techniques involved in professional wrestling. And yeah, I'm like, how can I make the submission wrestling as exciting as possible in a professional wrestling setting? Because while I do like guys that are going hold for hold and they're really good at it, if it can be boring. I mean, MMA can be boring. I've said this many times. Like, there are boring MMA fights, absolutely. Like
Trying to pass the guard the whole time.
Whatever, yeah, all that. Like, it's just they're just holding each other. The grappling is very slow. Somebody's just trying to slow everything down, which can be a valid strategy. But I was like, basically, like, how can I slam people into submissions? And that's what I'm trying to do out there. Because that's what people want. It's professional wrestling. They want the slams, but like I need to. My expertise is in submissions, and I'm just trying to,
So we don't date ourselves back too terribly far, but that's something that isn't done. Like, that's always been either you're an A or a B. Like, either you go for the grapple and the submission, or B, you're going to throw them around, or you're a powerhouse.
I love that you say that, because I've always been, like, my whole life, I was always like too nerdy for the jocks, too much of a jock for the nerds. Like, I'm a mix of so many different things. And same thing with mixed martial arts. Like, it always frustrated me when I was fighting, like, oh, what's your style? I'm like, my
punch, kick, submit.
Yeah, I'd be like, my style is beating people up, or it's like, I would, as a joke, I would say technical brawling, because I like to, like, I was like kind of like I had good technique, but I like to throw down. Or they just were trying to create a story for commentary or whatever. Like, oh, this is a grappler and he's going up against a striker or whatever. But I did everything. I started everything at the same time. Like back in 2004, I've been training jiu-jitsu just as long as I've been training striking. So my style was whatever I needed to do to win the fight. Like, sometimes I needed to be a grappler. Sometimes I needed to be a striker. So, and that's why I was attracted so much to mixed martial arts, because I always looked at it as, like, besides maybe a decathlon or something, it's like the ultimate athletic competition. It combines so many different aspects of, like, athletic competition between, strength, cardio, endurance, and then all the skills you need as far as, like, MMA goes. It's like this. It's so awesome how all that just can come together, and then to see it kind of come to fruition in the ring or cage. So with pro wrestling, I really have the same mindset. It's like, I don't know what you want to call it. Like, I'll maybe come up with some goofy name, like mixed martial wrestler or something. Just like,
please don't do that.
But
although anything could get over nowadays, so mixed martial wrestler, I mean, could
get
you
know what I mean? You get them.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's the funny thing is, and I caught a tweet that Chris Dickinson put out. It was either during or right after Bloodsport, and said, keep your eyes and get to see Matt Makowski while you can before he gets signed up. Because I think that the style that we're talking about doesn't exist right now. And there's not a lot of people that can defend it, and there's not a lot of people that can do it. So I think by him saying that, one, it's a huge rub, and it's a huge nod to what you're doing and how short you've been in the wrestling industry, and to get something like that from someone like that, it's impressive. And I think it's spot on, because however you get there, wherever you might perform, there's not a lot of people. There's a lot of people that are going to be like, whoa, like, I've never seen that before. Like, oh, like, this is interesting.
I absolutely. I mean, I am inspired so much by those that came before me, like, or guys are still going, like Tom Lawler is actually a friend of mine, and or Shayna Baszler, or further like Ken Shamrock, whoever you want to say, like and then a lot of stuff I watched in Japan, and I'm watching wrestling, and it had always been something I like wanted to possibly pursue, and I didn't really pull the trigger on that until like about 2016. But I just saw there was something there that I was like, I can do a lot of the stuff these guys are doing, but I know other ways that I could do it. There's other, like I maybe watch like a power guy, and then I watch like a Kushida who's like an awesome submission artist, and I come up with ways to sort of combine these things. I just felt like I had some ideas, and there were some things that I could bring to the table that were fresh, and new, because I have like so many influences from, wrestling, professional wrestling, and then mixed martial arts.
Yeah, and it's great because it's something. It's almost like you need it, because you've literally seen everything. You've seen everything, and things start to get overused. And I mean, when you start to see things that are new, I know probably old school mentality is like, well, don't try and change it. Don't change it too much, kid, or whatnot. But I mean, for wrestling to evolve, and it's done that in the past. They have done MMA style fighting and wrestling before, but it's never been like that, like close together, that intertwined. Like, it's always been either an MMA style in a wrestling world, not a wrestling MMA style in itself.
Yeah, somebody that I respect a lot. I talked to this weekend. Ricky Shane Page said something very similar. He's like, I'm not really into like the MMA stuff in wrestling. He's like, but the way you're doing it, I'm really into. So he's like, keep it up. Just I was like, it meant a lot to me coming from him. And yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna just try to keep doing what I'm doing, and keep moving forward here.
Now, I wanted to kind of go over like a timeline aspect, because just to catch people up and all that, because we had you on before your first Bloodsport, right? Before, I think it was maybe a month before your first Bloodsport. And when we fast forward maybe a little over a year and a half, maybe a year and a half almost, from just getting into it, I guess, just getting your feet wet and getting that spotlight on Bloodsport, and going to the point of where your home promotion kind of folds over and things look bleak, to going to your next Bloodsport. I mean, a lot has happened in that year and a half. Now, was there anything that you learned, or anything that maybe stands out in that short period of time?
Yeah, I think I'm a better professional wrestler than I was a year ago, for sure. And I still have so much to learn, and I still have a long way to go. But it's like anybody, I guess, would say that has another year under their belt. And even with saying a year, it's like, well, I've been lucky to have, I think, 4 or 5. It might be a few more than that. I've done like a few tapings, like no fan tapings for like stuff on IWTV. But I've had maybe 5 or 6 matches since the quarantine, and now there's not a lot of people that can say that. Plus all the wrestling that hasn't happened since whenever, like March. Like my last match was before quarantine was, I can't remember. It might have been late February or something.
I think you were still doing the arcade, right? The Action Arcade was still going.
Oh, right, yeah.
But that wasn't
I totally
live.
forgot. Yeah, we did film some stuff for that as well later. That was also like no fans and whatnot. But so I guess what I was getting at is I haven't maybe had as many matches as I would have had a normal year gone by.
Mm-hmm.
But still, just I continue to learn a lot, and obviously I'm also going up against some really at least within the my last few matches, like with Dickinson, and then Simon Grimm. These guys have, I don't know what it is, like 35 plus years experience, between the two of them or something. So I'm picking up a lot from them, and it's it's just a process, and it never ends. And I've just from going to being at Worldwide, I'm learning a lot from Cheeseburger and Sumi Sakai, and I approach the professional wrestling just like I did my jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai training. I'm still going to class, still going to training, along with all the other like physical training that I'm doing. So, I'm just trying to get better every day.
I mean, it kind of says more now for someone if they're getting booked in the pandemic era, because I mean, a lot of those slots are already taken and reserved for some of the bigger names for all these promotions, some of their regulars. So to get bookings in this pandemic era is almost like it's a nod to you. Like, you must be doing something right to break through and get in on some of these shows.
Well, I agree. And I mean, a lot of that goes, I think, back to a year ago where I was on that first Bloodsport, and then my, short run in Beyond with the Discovery Gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two companies I already have a history with. Like a lot of things, the timing was just right. And, I was put on, I got put on Bloodsport like not too long before they announced like that I was going to be on it. So I was probably one of the last guys, but it's the timing was right, and it happened.
I mean, you went from pre-show to main show to opener. So
yeah,
it's kind of like
I just want to be in that lineup in the beginning. That's my goal now. It's good. They keep giving me stuff.
Yeah. Next is definitely got to be mid-card. You got to give me somewhere in there.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if we're going by normal progression, I mean, give it 3 years, you'll be fighting Josh.
That's what I'm shooting for.
I wanted to go over that match because the match that you had with Simon yesterday, it went how I viewed it. Let me just go by that. Like, it looked like that was you. Like, you controlled that whole match. It almost looked like you were lead and Simon had to follow, if that makes sense. If you guys were dancing, you were the lead and he was following. Like, you were on your toes and he was kind of just trying to keep up. It looked like this was where you belonged. Like, this was it was very easy and familiar. That's how it looked.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mentioned earlier. Besides a few handful of people, let's just say in all of professional wrestling, like maybe in the States, I'm going to be one of the most comfortable people in that type of environment. Especially, this doesn't get talked a lot about because it's professional wrestling, but the striking and the stand-up. That was my wheelhouse when I was a fighter. When I did MMA, I preferred to keep it standing. So that kind of came through a lot yesterday.
Simon
didn't want to. I was trying to bring him back up to his feet.
He didn't want to stand with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. I would hope most people wouldn't want to, but it's. I was trying to win. I felt like that was the. I'll say this as in regards to Simon, of all the matches I've had up to this point, that's the one that felt most like I was back, 10 years ago in MMA. I posted earlier, I had a bloody nose. I have a black eye.
You're there. You're living
down.
Now.
Yeah. That's how it went down yesterday.
Now, if this would have went to a judge's decision, you would have won by a landslide. You would have been a unanimous decision. It was only because of one move and one quick call that had you down. I mean, Did Chris get paid off in the beginning of this match, or?
I don't think so. I just caught. He caught me off guard. I was going for the leg lock. He was able to grab my waist, chuck me over his shoulder, on my head. I was like concussed. I think I tried to tackle Chris afterwards. It is
happens.
what it is. Yeah. I mean, I'm not happy about it, but I think one of the good things is I've experienced losses in big events before, so it's not as, it's typically very heartbreaking for me, but because I do put a lot into every match, but
you're only one move away from turning that one big loss in a big event to one big win in a big event.
Yeah, exactly. And I know anybody on that card can probably put anybody away with one move. Like it's one of the most like Josh and GCW assembles some of obviously the baddest whatever roster that you can muster. So I'm not gonna really be discouraged or feel too down about myself about losing to Simon. He's a 20-year vet. He's been in WWE. He's been everywhere. He can hang, and it just wasn't my night.
That's pretty crazy to say that you wrestled a former WWE talent in Bloodsport. Not too many people get to say that besides Dickinson.
I have a poster. It's upstairs, but it's a couple of people. My friend Josh said this a few times. He's like, "How does it feel to be wrestling a former WWE superstar on a card where the AEW World Champion is also wrestling?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is crazy."
Yeah, this is wrestling. This is what it's meant to be.
Yep.
So great. I'm so happy. Like, it's such a cool time where that is a thing, and it's also funny. It's like I think Chris has had a match after mine, but it's like, so 2 out of 3 of Chris's last opponents are John Moxley and Matt Makowski. It's kind of nuts. Who would have thought?
It's kind of like what us fans get to see, but we don't get to see like wrestlers be fans, and that's something that we could see like you could be a fan of, like doing something.
I'm not too. I don't know. I understand like acting like you belong there and all that stuff, but yeah, I mean, I'm still a fan at heart, and I can get excited. What are we doing if I'm not happy or excited about what's going on? I was so pumped for the whole card, like that the women's tournament. I thought was an awesome idea.
That was.
I mean, like, again, I'm friends with Tom, and him wrestling Homicide is pretty wild.
Which you would just think would just be a street fight at that point.
Yeah, basically. He was trying to turn it into that if you saw the match. But
it's wrestling. That's what it is. It's just when you don't think you could see it, and then you see it, you're just like, this is what it's supposed to be.
This is a tiny thing, and again, I don't want to be but like John Moxley was talking at the end of the night. I don't know if it was on air or what, but he was basically putting over the whole card, and he just mentioned me by name, and I think one of the other wrestlers, and I thought that was pretty wild. Yeah. So, yeah.
This is like you said, he's the AEW champion. Yeah. He's got a live mic, and he says your name.
I know.
Whether it's good or bad, it's still good in your book.
I know.
He could have said he hated you, but that would have been great.
I mean, again, this is me being a dork, but like I wanted to like take the clip and then like change it around and make it seem like he was saying something about me or whatever.
Just take all of his promos from all over the place.
Yeah, like one of those videos where they just take like one word from each of something from the past and then put it in. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, absolutely. I think you should do that. To be honest.
I probably should. I don't want to seem like
social media will eat that shit up though.
I guess. Yeah, exactly. It'll be funny. I'm about making people laugh. I don't really it's not gonna really hurt my reputation or anything. No. But whatever.
If anything, you might get a shot.
Get him on Dark or something, maybe.
There you go.
Now, I guess we can end with, since you brought up Dark and we've been talking AEW, WWE, and all that. I mean, I think we talked goals our last show. I mean, I'm sure they probably changed a little bit where you'd like to end up or what you. But I mean, it's kind of hard now because there's not as much wrestling going on. I mean, but I really could see in a dark setting or an AEW or even, I mean, a shoo-in. You would be an absolute shoo-in for the ROH Pure tournament.
Yeah,
or go against the Pure. I mean, that's like a no-brainer.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that.
There's so many places that could utilize your skill set. I mean, it's all about who's going to do it the best and where you would want to work.
Yeah, goals for me are, I mean, to just get like, it's kind of like a little, I don't know, sentimental or whatever, but like, I want to be happy. That's important. That's really important for me. And then, I want to make my wife and my family proud. Those are kind of at the top of the list. So, and part of that might be something like, an ROH or, AEW, I think would be, huge, but, that's like the prize, that's what I'd be working for.
Like I can completely see like how you ran in the Discovery Gauntlet. You came in and I believe you beat Deppen first, right?
Yeah.
You were surprised and
Yeah.
you beat Deppen. I could see you doing that on AEW Dark. You come in and you get a surprise victory, like no one knows you, but oh shit, this guy can work, and you beat someone with something crazy, and then you make your mark. Like I could see that working completely.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that like I'm inspired by guys like the Bucks and Omega, like, and how creative they are, and they like inspire me to be creative myself. And so I feel like in a way I don't know, I like fit in with that, and then because I feel like especially with AEW, these guys are encouraged to like take chances or try new things. That I get the sense from just watching the programming more so than I do like other TV wrestling.
We got you.
And it's and if it doesn't maybe go the way they intended, or they took a chance and it maybe falls flat, I feel like they don't get reprimanded or like they don't, it's
the microscope isn't as large.
Yeah, they don't get, they don't walk through the curtain in the back and then just get a mouthful from whoever. It feels like this. I appreciate like it's just this conducive environment to create something awesome every time the camera's on. I watch AEW every week, and it's and I have like, we'll say friends or people that I admire and coaches like Orange Cassidy, Bryce Remsburg. I've never met him, but a guy I look up to and watched a lot in Chikara, Eddie Kingston now.
Mm-hmm.
They're all there. So it's yeah.
It's funny that the AEW catches their flack for like some stuff, but if you were to go up there, like you'd be working with some of the you just named two people from two completely different sides of the spectrum, like an Orange Cassidy who doesn't really have to do anything to get over, to an Eddie Kingston who uses his promo work and his like who he is in his promos to get over. Like you'd be like people don't get, like when you get up there, it's not just like, oh, you made it. Like you're still learning from the veterans and the people that are like a Cody Rhodes, like someone like that, someone who's been in the business and who's a third generation. So I mean, like you go up there and actually it benefits you. And AEW, and I mentioned them first because they feel like more. I know that it's not the best way to put it, but like ragtag group of people. Like they got like.
It's a bit of everything. It's like it's kind of how I felt at like Chikara, where I helped create this. I guess I was very different than the normal like Chikara wrestler, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But that's what I liked about it so much, is that you're gonna see me wrestle whoever, a hermit crab or whatever, like That's interesting to me. That's fun to me.
I
and that's what I like about.
I like that was the first thing that came to mind.
Big ups to Hermit Crab, right? It's so AEW gives me that feel where, you know, like whoever, it could be me and Luchasaurus or me and Darby Allin or something. You know, it's just like, and I think that's how you create these masterpieces that you just wouldn't expect. I mean, I guess that can also fall flat. Like promoters and bookers know way more about what they're doing than what I'm talking about right now. But like, I think
yeah, but you as someone who's actually going to be in the match, if you can visualize you having a good match with someone, it's usually the first step in the right direction. I mean, you know better than anyone else and how you can perform and what you can do with the other person more than a third party. So you would think that, like, you know what's best for you.
Well, obviously, I think hopefully as a wrestler, you get to a point where you feel like you can have the best wrestlers can have a great match with anybody, you know. So that's what I would strive for. But coming up in Chikara and at the Wrestle Factory was good, is because we got a lot of different styles, and so I did have to adapt a lot early on in my career, and of course I still am, but yeah, I mean, and ROH is a lot more guys that are maybe we'll say similar to me, which is also a big challenge, would be a big challenge as well.
Yeah, that's where you test your skills.
Yeah, right. It's kind of some real deal hombres in there.
When you get into the ring with Jonathan Gresham, I mean, you know your world, but he knows this world really, really well. So that would be that'd be a fun matchup. You versus Woods. Josh Woods.
Josh Woods, yep.
That would be an interesting matchup, just because I feel like that could go either way. I mean, that could stand up or go to the ground very easily.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I totally agree. I since Josh was announced the last Bloodsport, I've been kind of looking him up a little bit, so I'm a little bit more familiar with his work.
So. Maybe we'll speak that one. That will be your mid-card Bloodsport extravaganza for next year. Barnett, if you're listening and you want to maybe work on that,
yeah,
we signed off on it already.
All right, thank you guys, appreciate it.
Matt, thanks so much for taking the time and talking with us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, and thanks for all the support and everything. I appreciate it.
Problem. Good luck with anything else that you might have coming up. Anything else that you want to tell us about?
I have some tapings that will be announced on IWTV. You can just kind of stay with pizza. I guess I could say with Pizza Party and what else? I'll be on Black Label Pro in a few weeks. Their Slamilton event.
There you go. That's a big one.
November 21st. So I'm going back to Indiana.
Those Midwest companies know how to do it. Like
it's kind of, you know, obviously as a Northeastern guy, it's like, you know, it's the Midwest, so yeah, got to go out there. But that's where it's hot. I don't know. Wrestling seems hot.
The hotbed right now.
So. It is. Yeah.
It really is. I mean, if you're going to count Chicago in with that in the Midwest, I mean, they're all right in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I feel like that's the.
I wish the Northeast could get to that point. Like, I wish this area would resurgence and just be what it used to be.
Yeah,
drives me
we
nuts.
talked about this a little bit last time. How there's not much, especially in like Philadelphia proper. I don't know what the issue is. Like, I guess.
And now it's even less.
Right, there is a lack of companies, even more so, but. I don't know. I feel like, you know, Beyond is running Jersey again soon, right? They're doing tournament for tomorrow in Atlantic City. GCW has been running Atlantic City a lot, so that's kind of like home too.
Home part too.
Enough. Yeah.
I mean, AC's not that far away.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But, there's only some parts of AC you want to go to, but
it's the same with Philly. But you know,
yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Philly's a lot bigger, though.
Yeah, you're right.
AC's about this big.
All right, Matt. Thanks so much again. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for talking to me, guys.
All right, have a good night.